Guys, we're rolling. Okay. This is going to be the best podcast we've ever done. I know I said that last time, but this is going to be real. The first time, Ranton Podcast 8, that we have a guest on the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, say hi to Cezar.
Like the salad. I'm Cezar.
And,
Where do I look?
This is your camera.
This is my camera.
Yeah. He is an actual game developer.
Man, I feel like one of them Discovery channels when you catch the rare bird.
We have caught a gazelle, ladies and gentlemen.
And it's like, this bird comes in once every full moon for 2 seconds.
Comes on the podcast.
What did they say when they caught Osama or something? Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
I'm not restrained. I came on my own volition.
Yeah. I want to make this podcast 2 hours, but we have so many questions. I hope it's not going to be 10 hours. We have amazing questions prepared for you guys. It's going to be a great podcast. We got a behind the scenes look with Cezar. And Andy?
Somewhat behind.
Andy got questions. I got questions. You got Patreon questions. We're going to alternate between them. And we're going to start with Cezar. Maybe just give us a basic rundown. Who are you? What the fuck are you even doing here? Let's go.
So my name is Cezar. I am a creative director for Virtuos. And that's a very fancy way of saying I work with a lot of people to make a game. What I want to say first off, right off the bat, it needs to be said, what I will say now does not represent the company, Virtuos, nor its clients. It's just me, Caesar salad, in your chair.
We're just talking.
Enjoying your hospitality. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Of course.
This guy's amazing.
And I also want to say that nothing I say represents Ranton.
No. Why is your foot on the table?
Right. So sorry. Yeah, I had to take that out of the way. So I am a game developer indeed. People say I've been in the industry for 22 years. I'm not that old in the industry. I've been in it for like 12 years. I worked for Ubisoft a lot. I worked on a lot of games as writer, content director, which is like a small creative director for certain areas of the game. Like, it's a bit complicated.
Yeah, we'll get more into individual things.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. So basically, my background is writing and design. And now I work for Virtuos. It's just a big company where we're helping people develop their games. Games like Shadow of the Tomb Raider and many, many others.
Yes.
We're not in the first title, so you kind of have to look at the credits for us. But we're there. We did your dinosaurs. We did. Yes, I'm working with them. And in the wake of the Shadow of the Tomb Raider review and of Assassin's Creed Origins review, which the games I was engaged deeply and molecularly, I stumbled upon Rantoni's reviews, and I stay for the JJ joke.
Yeah, very good. And his company, I think, is a company based in China. So I want to say, 我的中国的朋友你好，大家好，欢迎你们来到Ranton Channel.
It's like I never left Shanghai. That's amazing.
I had some trouble wrapping my mind around what your company does specifically. So it's you don't work on your own games. You are other companies consult your company to help them with what specifically?
I'm having troubles now not making jokes.
Then make them.
Very, very hard. Just self-deprecating jokes are my shtick. Yeah. That's how I got so ahead in my industry. No, so seriously, Virtuos is a major player when it comes to creating assets. Your assets.
Can you specify for people
who... trees, monsters, a lot of art, a lot of animation. We work a lot of movies, effects in the big movies, really, really big movies.
Yes,
like indeed. Animations like Star Wars Rebels and Star Wars. We did a lot of animations. Telltale Games. A lot of assets, including big games like Horizon Zero Dawn, Final Fantasy. We work assets and lately a lot of ports, a lot of optimization work. We need we had a crap ton of talented engineers and level designers. So we helped people along the way, and lately we're focusing more and more on creating mandates. Mandates are a chunk of a game that a client says, hey man, we don't have the firepower to do this, but this is so core to our experience that we cannot half-arse it.
Okay.
Yeah, we need some people. And based on our expertise and our good relationship working status and everything else in between, we were given these babies and we worked on them until we bled from our elbows.
Yeah.
So we deliver our last product that we're extremely proud of is Shadow of the Tomb Raider, where we work the challenge to.
Interesting. So it's I forgot what I wanted to say. I just had it in mind.
It's so interesting that I forgot what I wanted to say.
This is crazy.
And it's coming. More shit is coming. Shit's getting biblical. Now everything is
biblical.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's all very exciting for everything for everyone involved. And yeah, Virtuos.
Okay, so let's begin. Let's get into more questions. Patreon questions.
Can I get a hazmat suit?
I think we all need hazmat suits.
We all developers were very afraid. We are afraid. No, that's true. We mingle among people on Kotaku and Polygon and like, hey man, what do you think of that? What do you think of that? But we are very afraid of speaking with people because we know some inside stuff. We don't want to leak stuff. Companies use their own channels to communicate things. There's a whole strategy and positioning, it's extremely important for our survival. So
don't worry about it.
I'm a bit afraid.
Don't worry. It's not live. Anything you're uncomfortable with, I'll edit it out. Don't worry.
Excellent. Thank you.
So it's not live. We can say whatever.
Trevor James.
First question from Lars. He asks, for the guest, what was the work environment in the companies you have worked at like? And is it true that in many big studios like Telltale Games that you are essentially being... Now it gets edgy, yeah? So get ready.
I'm sorry. I am also narcoleptic.
Is it true in many big studios like Telltale Games that you are essentially being exploited for the benefit of the company without any recompensation whatsoever? And what do you think the consumer can do to support you in your fight for better working conditions? Wow, Lars, some question you asked.
You're starting with the heavy hitters. We just started. Okay, so I cannot speak for Telltale. I've worked very closely at the creative helms.
Get a bit closer, Mike. The mic closer to your face. Yeah.
Sorry. Hey, Mike. So I worked very close to many creative helms in quite a few projects. I was at Ubisoft for 10 years. I'm a war veteran there. What I want to say is that depends on the project, and there's a lot of factors involved. As with any industry, there is a lot of, I don't like the word taking advantage, because this is not exactly, nobody chains you to a desk. There's a lot of energy, and this energy comes from people as well.
You need passionate people.
Yes, we push each other. I push my team very hard. I'm very hard on the feedback, and I push them, and I touch their egos, and they push themselves, and they stay the longer hours. And at the end, we do these meetings, and we know we have these problems. We know things are not going well. We know the salaries are small. We look forward to better compensation, but at the same time, we're happy with the results. The results is there. We had on all projects, we talk to people, but do we like what we put on the market? Because at the end of the day, you are what you produce. That is everything there is to it. Yes, sure, some people get the better advantage. You get Sutherland that has his millions in bonuses, and the guy who made some feature is better not as good, well compensated. And some people burn out, and burning out is real. Overtime is real. I burned out twice.
If I may interject there's this news that just came out about Red Dead Redemption 2 that at Rockstar Games they did 100 hours, and I don't know what I'm supposed to feel about that, because it would be kind of hypocritical if I said, well, that's bad. I want to have a good game. Like, if that's what you know what I mean? From a consumer standpoint, if that's what it took to make Red Dead Redemption the game that it's going to be, which I haven't played it yet, right? I hope it's going to be good. But if that's what it took, am I supposed to complain about that? Isn't that kind of hypocritical? Like, if that game is going to be an absolute masterpiece, great work, you know? But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know what to feel about that from a consumer standpoint.
This is a very thorny situation indeed.
Yeah.
I'm rambling already because I'm very conflicted about it.
Yeah, but overtime in the gaming industry, that's a big...
No, sir.
No?
Overtime in all industries.
Yeah. Overtime in working.
I know people working publicity. It's dog industry. It's way worse than we have. They don't have our restaurants. They don't have creative people that they can talk about Walking Dead every day. They don't have Overwatch LAN parties at each. We have a very good work. Sorry, we have a very good working environment. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. There's a lot of crunch, and yes, that can be chalked out to optimistic planning. And optimistic planning, folks, happens so that projects are greenlit. Yeah, you can't go say, "Hey, it's gonna take 7 years." Nobody's gonna hide, and I know.
Yeah.
People should be conditioned to say, yeah, realistically, it's 7 years, but they say 6. And they look for contingency plans. And so we have an optimistic plan. You're sailing on a boat to uncharted lands with tech, creative, story. You have an idea, you have a compass, like Assassin's Creed. But then storms happens. And you do have a buffer. Everybody has a buffer. But then it gets worse. And then you get sickness. And the people in charge of the buffer leave. And you get all these bad situations that puts people in really dire straits. And I know it's unfair. And I've been there. But this is the industry, and this is how it works. Things should improve for sure. So just to cap up, and I'm very sorry for drifting away.
No, it's totally fine.
I don't believe a lot of people did the 100 hours. I believe a very select few motivated, dedicated people can do that. And they're usually people who on their shoulders weighs a lot of responsibility. I myself pulled ungodly hours even when I was sick, when if my father died and I had to make AI because in 1 month we had the alpha. And if the Raging Hammer boss in the arena was not bulletproof on Raging Axis, was not fun,
it's not going to get greenlit.
Everything is going to fall. Yeah. So I'm put between these two hard situations. I didn't took to Reddit. I didn't took to Twitter. It was a very hard thing to do. But I did it. And now I look back and it made me stronger. It made me weaker. I don't know.
It's
but I don't want people to go to the same extent.
No, I feel like I can somehow relate to this, but obviously on a much, much smaller scale. If you look at a YouTube channel like what I have right now, I work horrible hours. I make no money.
There you go.
But the thing is, I love doing it. It's my passion that drives me to do each video. I work horrible hours. I get paid almost nothing. So it's that's why it's like difficult to judge the situation.
I think that article you mentioned, that what was it? What article?
Red Dead Redemption?
Yeah. What?
I don't know what article it was, but I saw it in the news.
It's everywhere.
I think that's kind of a news media thing that when you read it, the first thing you think about is, the bosses whipping their employees like more hours. But it's nowhere in the article does it say like they were forced into 100 hours. It's kind of like they want their project to be done, and they want it
to be good.
Yeah, and that's why they do it.
There is a lot of negativity, Andy, because a lot of people left because of this crunch, and this industry is brutal. Make no mistake, it's brutal. Well, if you think this is brutal, you should go in showbiz. That is way worse, but it's not ideal. People who come here are bright-eyed people. They have families. The more you go into it, you cannot expect that level of commitment. I am 38. I'm not married, so I don't care. I can burn my life, and I'll happily do it because I love the medium. I take no efforts, but I'm keenly aware not everybody wants to do this. But people who come in are bright-eyed, and people leave, and there's a lot of vitriol. There's a lot of bile. People are writing, it's terrible. And they're right. It's not ideal, but not for everybody. A lot of people there, they understand the bad, but they're so proud of what they're doing. And these things that take shape, you cannot just abandon it. Yeah. It's like I said, it's really dicey.
And essentially, I think it is a lot about sacrifice. It is a lot about what are you willing to give
for the perfect game.
That's again how I feel with what I do. It's what are you willing to put into it with getting, let's be frank, almost nothing out of it. In my case, I just released my For Honor video that's got 50,000 views, and my Assassin's Creed video that I worked on for 50 more hours is like barely above 10K. But I'm going to continue to make reviews because
Lars, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? What are you trying to prove? Come on, man. Let's come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Let's get to the next question.
Get to the next question.
So Lars, great question.
Great question.
Thank you. Yeah,
very good.
Every question that sparks.
You deserve a break.
Take a break, Lars.
So, of course, Anton and I have also thought of some questions that are, of course, better than Patreon questions.
Just between you and me, I'm the only non-Rantoni. Yeah. Andy has the perfect vibes. He has perfect vibes. Anton is more jagged. His less energy is more poignant. That's why I'm facing Andy.
For your own safety.
For your own safety.
Please. I am already a wounded animal.
A gazelle.
One thing I wanted to know, maybe you can tell it for you or for other developers you know, is working in the video game industry a project by project thing? Like, do you get hired for, we need people who work on Assassin's Creed, and then Assassin's Creed's done now, you go find yourself some other project to work on? Or is it, you work for this company and there's a steady influx of work to do?
Holy shit sticks. So very quickly I'm going to touch on this, but this is very gross what I'm going to tell you. This is really rough. So there are two types of hirings. They are full-time and contract. Contracts are almost mandatory. US does this a lot, and even in Europe, but US does this a lot. And they hire a guy for that project. They need a guy who do hair. They need a tree guy. They need a guy that drew extremely good foliage. Yep. And they hire an artist. They hire him for 6 months, 8 months. They finish the mandate. They go, or they offer him in case something else happens. But they're still in the context. The full time, you're just engaged on the studio, and you are available resource that they commit to titles. Sometimes, in case of directors like myself, I'm committed to more than one game. And I do design there, I do narrative there, I meetings there, meeting the clients there. So you are used as an asset, basically. So, just to answer your question, some people are hired to do one thing based on their expertise. Very rarely juniors and intermediate. They can hire a junior for a small period of time, but they don't continue their contract because either they underperform or the project was canceled and they don't need him anymore. And also they're hiring very talented people full-time or that they can use as assets on one project. Now that this comes into something people keep talking about nowadays, which is employee rotations. Are you familiar with this gentlemen? Which means you take employees and you kind of shift them around to different projects. This is a very negative thing because as you work something, you're also extremely attached.
Yeah,
it's your
of course.
Baby. Yeah. You worked on it. You burned 2 Sundays. Yeah. When you could be home binge watching Black Sails. So they take you away and you have to do this VR bullshit that you don't care about. You're even you're cross-eyed. You can't even you don't like VR, and you have to do it. Maybe it's a good project, it's a bad project. In fact, I talked to some people and I know people that moved from smaller project to big project, given a lot of authorship, a lot of creative freedom, and they resented it throughout development because they loved their initial project too much. They said, man, when they took that thing away from me, I can't do it.
Crazy
but
shit.
They still do it. Because people, and this is something I really want to stress, a professional owns it. You own it. It's the military. Yeah? You're like a SEAL. You're like a special forces. When the guys say in the night the helicopter jump, you don't like, hey man,
get to the chopper.
Hey man, I don't think I'm gonna jump right now. I mean, this rope is a bit weird. I don't like jumping. Oh, this is the 12th. This is when my father died. This is 12 is no. You do it. You own it. You understand it. You look at it. I hate making rocks. Oh, it's not always rocks, but I need to build better rocks. I hate rocks. okay, I need to own it, don't do it. If you don't do it and you let it kind of fester, you'll never deliver a quality product. And whenever you're going to make call in to do some crunch on the goddamn rocks that you already hate, that's not going to help.
How much? That's what I wondered. How much
I'm sorry, I was talking to Andy.
How much
great.
creative freedom does one small developer have in a project? If I'm developing the next Elder Scrolls game and I'm there, let's make a crazy example. And I'm there and doing some shit and I'm like, whoa, I just got this idea. Can I raise my hand and go, yo, Todd?
How about an acid-spewing dragon?
Yo, Todd! Yo, Todd! That fucking skill system you made was shit. Look at what I drew up on the toilet paper. Like, what's the creative input a small programmer has on a project?
Depends on the company and depends on the project.
Okay.
If you're talking about Skyrim, which is this ungodly cluster of gameplay features. Some of them work, some of them only work Sundays, and some of them only work in the PS4 version. So if you're talking a game of that scale, you have a crap ton of creative freedom, son.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, you can do a lot of things. You do have a direction, yeah? You need to make... Give me an example. Let's take an example.
Fallout 3.
Oh. Just tell me a job family: design, programming, art, whatever.
Yeah, let's do art. Yeah.
Let's do art. You're doing characters. Let's say you do characters for a big AAA game, like a very established IP brand. You're doing characters, and they say, Andy, Andy, your mandate is to create a defensive gladiator. And conditions of satisfactions. Boom. He needs to be like the rock star. Alpha. Beautiful. He needs to kind of have enough poise to lead his own game. Creatively charged, we like to say. And it needs to be Greek.
Okay.
Boom, boy.
Man, you have to come up with the rest.
Is the camera still...
Oh, fuck my life.
Still going?
I don't know. No, I don't.
Can you wiggle?
Yes,
you're there.
Yeah, but if it's still recording.
This camera has got a giant pain in the ass. No, it's not going.
How do I record?
The red button. With your camera, you don't have to worry because this is the best one. Mine is the one that stops every half an hour, and the small one is the one that's just fucking
Rantoni third world technology.
Yeah,
so
incredible.
And if you're lucky and you don't have a micromanaging boss, which he has this vision and he'll push it on you, but as a director, you need to take a step back and let people express themselves because, dear listeners, if you don't let the artist express himself, he's not going to own what they make. They're not going to own it. They're not going to be attached to it, which means if you're going to ask for improvements, they're going to look at you. I didn't design this. How do I address this?
So you mean like accountability and also?
Exactly.
I didn't want it like this. Why are you?
So you are making... You come with me, let's say, with the low-hanging fruit design, a guy with a shield, which is like the... Come on, we can go a little better for a divide. Okay, you'll make it a blind guy that fights like Voldo based on sounds. And he's...
That's awesome.
And you're like, oh man, that's so lame. Okay. All right. And you're designing this guy, and you have to show that he's blind, so you don't. We maybe do that, or show his eyes are poco, or they have big rocks with eyes painted on to show you. So. And then the feedback comes. It's a very good character, but is a wavy stance. This is no bearing on Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I just want to say it out loud. This is just an exercise. It comes the feedback from player test. We don't feel it's powerful. We don't feel intimidated by it. And I forward your feedback. Andy, the blind guy I just told you about is not powerful enough. It's not. You're like, yeah, but of course it's not. He's wobbling because it's not your design. You don't know how to improve it. Now, if I were to work on it, because I came with a blind guy, I say, all right, we're going to have some stances where he becomes upright, laughs, and then he goes back into to kind of show he is pretending to be like that. But he's extremely menacing. And he laughs as he dodges. And that alone shows you, why are you laughing? Why is he laughing? Okay, he's a bit weird.
Damn, man.
So that is enough.
I'm already picturing this enemy type right now.
Right, so you need to let the artist do it. Be it as an engineer, follows and improves it in creative ways. There's creativity everywhere. People who say, I'm doing what I'm told and I'm frustrated, sometimes it is like this. You have a creative, very micromanaging boss. That happens. But the vast majority of the situations, and I know I'm going to get a lot of bad karma, people are not trying enough. Oh yeah, Cezar, but I tried to push my designs, my ideas, and they were shut down so hard. So what? What do you expect? You are right, or you're going to make an impact? Do you know how you sway people's minds? You make a video. You show how they're doing in other games. You cut images from Troy, and you make this 30 seconds clip where Achilles dodges left and right, and you show that this is, despite being naked, he is a good character.
So you have to make it also convincing, right?
A designer's and a creative job is to convey his vision as good as possible.
Yeah.
Something that is very good in your mind has no impact or bearing on the real.
No one can
That's
know
what
what's in your mind.
What I learned in my life to bring it back.
Speak. It's the mic.
Yeah. What I learned in my time in school is I've always been a very good presenter, but I learned that how you present something always matters. But the content doesn't always matter. That's what I learned. Even if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, I learned that in school. I'm really good in front of groups when I present something. I can talk about this table now for 10 minutes. It's no problem for me. I can make shit up and make a funny story. It's always about how you present something. If you have great content and you can present it, you are already fucked.
Yeah.
Like in school or now in college, when I see people who do presentations, if they talk like, and now the marketing department, it's like, no one wants to listen to you. Nobody cares. And sometimes I didn't prepare. I have nothing to say. I start to use my hands and like, guys, and I look into people's faces. I already won a lot more. So presentation matters so much.
The advice is engineer, whatever. If you want to push your idea, make it snappy, make it spicy. Show where we are, show the transition to where, because if it's a huge gap, nobody's going to buy it. And make it 30 seconds, make it 20 seconds, make it snappy. Shakespeare.
You can keep talking, your camera's on.
Shakespeare said, oh my God, I'm quoting Shakespeare. That's not, but he said, brevity is the soul of wit, which means the briefer you are, it means you understand what you're supposed to be doing and you need to convey it. And there's a lot of freedom for you. Then the gates open. Nobody's going to shut you down because you're a junior. Nobody's going to shut you down if he's a programmer, doesn't know what he's saying. No, people are going to listen to you. So there's a lot of creating freedom if you have the energy to do it. Was that your question?
Great. I mean, that was my question. Kind of. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Into Anton's question.
But let's go to the next Patreon question.
Great. Yeah.
Fuck, we're already at half an hour. The time flies like a motherfucker.
Shut up. Go.
How is this possible? Okay. You already told us this story behind the scenes, but maybe a shorter version. How, as a developer, did you get into the industry? And what does a typical day look like at work? Oh, that's interesting. What would a bad day look like as a developer?
Right. Oh, craps. So, just very briefly, I've done so much shit outside development that doesn't even make sense. But that allowed me to be a dark horse. But
you're here now.
Yeah, so all these things that very briefly I'm going to touch on helped me becoming a director instead of just an expert of design or something like that. So firstly, I did music before I was to school, piano, hardcore things, philharmonic, everything. I got fascinated by music and games and everything related to games, basically. The storytelling just blew my mind, even early games. Especially Sega, all the old games, it's incredible. Yuzo Koshiro changed my mind when it comes to video game music, and there was blips and blobs. Then I moved on to acting because I dropped music like it's hot. I moved to acting because I didn't want to be drafted in the army. I told you guys about this because that's Romania. I'm Romanian. Hey! And then I started learning development on the side. I was self-taught. I learned some graphics by myself. We didn't have schools. I took a job with a mobile company. I did design for all sorts of weird and peculiar games. These gentlemen know because we had beer together and I told them some craziness in regards to certain erotic industry that I made games for. I'm not going to say more, but
games that everyone's playing but no one admits to.
Yeah, stuff I won't put on my resume, but I did it because I was in the industry. And then I was hired by Ubisoft as a writer. And I work on Tom Clancy's, on Ghost Recon, on Hawx, and and then I joined to Assassins, and then Skull and Bones, and then more Assassins.
Yeah.
Wait, did you just say Skull and Bones?
Skull and Bones.
The new one was coming?
Yes.
What? I thought that was a secret society where George Bush is in.
That's
Gotcha.
Oh my God.
Okay, call Batman. Right. So I worked as a writer. Because my English was a bit better. Those were the standards back in the day, 20 years ago. And then I moved on as a narrative director, or what the Ubisoft calls realization director, which is a very fancy... but by the way, in the video game industry, there are many directors.
Yeah, dude, I don't understand this shit anymore.
They're directors above directors who direct other directors.
Yeah. I've tried to understand this for as long as I can remember.
I can explain it in a very
in every featurette making of, you see these titles. Is that important?
You have workers, then you have the seniors, then you have the lead that manages everybody, and then you have that job family director, design director, gameplay director, which is the guy. When you work with so many people under you, you must understand, you must enforce that all the gameplay goes in a direction, and we're not doing Final Fantasy when we're doing Mortal Kombat. You need to understand the gameplay needs to go. And that feels like, hey man, but that doesn't make sense. Why would you trust me, when you're developing things on paper, macro level, things diverge. They go just slightly on the side. And now
people are creative.
Now it's a racing game and you don't realize it. Sure, I'm talking about a guy who enforces the molecular design. No, we're back. We're using only one element. Stop making variations. You use that element and only that until all situations are exhausted. So that's the director. On top of that guy, you have either a technical director, which is a direct boss, or a content director, the guy that decides basically what goes inside and what form does it take. And then above it, you have the creative director, which is the guy who has the vision, the guy who has veto. He works in tandem with the content director. And in the big company above it, there is a game director like Kojima or some other companies. Ubisoft has game directors which are in charge of everything. But they're not doing a lot. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, directors have less creativity than people working under them. Way less.
So maybe it's their job to guide this creativity just in the right direction and let them...
Yes or no. We're also surprised by things. Everything that comes toward you, it's bad because it's not how you envisioned it. You didn't have the texture, the smell, the feeling. But this is like acting. You do an exercise where you empty yourself. I'm fresh. And you're looking at this idea and like, oh, these are 2 good points. This is actually very exciting. And then you give feedback, you work alongside, you flesh it out, and you own it, even if it's not yours. Even at first knee-jerk reaction, oh, this is bad. It's tricky. We're all working in the same direction.
It's crazy how we diverge from the questions.
So wait. We got sidetracked with the directors. What were we on?
The question actually was, what does a good or a bad day look like?
No. How did you get into it? You were
realization. So writer.
Yeah.
Realization. Realization means merging gameplay with narrative, without visually. Movies, cutscenes, everything. Did the Russians attack from this angle? The defenders were on this angle. All this side of the fence is riddled with bullets. This environmental storytelling is realization. Yeah, a lot of it. Concept art, the clock. That pause, it's the code. It means that that's when you input the thing. It's all about related that the guy who won the clock, something happened on the 4th. Anyway, everything related to narrative. You go next to a house and it's abandoned, and suddenly you trigger a piano music upstairs, which means there's a hobo that goes inside to play. Maybe there's someone else. The moment you enter, you hit footstep and it goes. So that's realization. And from here, my evolution to content was really fast because I was able to write because they need something. They need an expedition somewhere. And I say, okay, so now we're chasing a ghost ship and we don't know it's a ghost ship. We thought it's a ship because you see the lights and then it takes you place and it vanishes and you see the wreck. And it's like the ghost ship took me to the wreck to see, wow, it's interesting. So that's because I come from writing and stuff like this. I was able to write this very compelling 3 or 4, 6 presentation pages with, we can do this level for your game. How about that? And the bosses upstairs like, whoa, this is quite compelling. Oh, this is shit. So that's how I moved up. And that's how what I do right now, which is a combination of design with narrative and writing. The best day at work for me is when nothing happens. When I just watch Handsoft, I sip some Coke, and suddenly someone, hey, Cezar, is this good? It's brilliant. Oh, man, the whole jittering. Brilliant. Oh, we finished that thing. We finished it in time. Holy shit. That's brilliant.
So, and then so good days when things just go smoothly.
Man, I just love it. I feel like kissing people. There's this guy that works and is angry and he's like, and then comes the team, he's super happy. His tail is wagging. Let me show you. And they do the thing and he respects the condition of satisfaction. Everything is there. There are stuff there's missing, but the solution is brilliant. And I have this urge of kissing people. I'm not gay, but I'm so happy for him because his energy is intoxicating. So that's the best day. The worst day is me stuck in daily discussions with the client that take hours, pacing around, trying to tell them why things are the way they are, and we shouldn't do what they want because we've been to their thought process already. The stuff that we're pushing, it was chewed many times. It's not elegant, and sometimes they agree, sometimes they don't. But I ended up with huge headaches because I have long discussions. And then I tell to the team, hey, we're doing the thing that it's not working. And you can see them that they're looking at me. Why are you there? And you tell them like.
The client. Huh?
No. Yeah. Sometimes I do that, but mostly I own it. And I tell them, this is what we signed up. Not what you signed up for. Like in the Marines, boy, you signed up for this shit. Yeah, he signed up for this shit. No, we tell them now we are making this game.
We're professionals.
We're professionals. This is what we need to deliver in order to see if it works or not. So that's my worst day.
Damn.
Great.
Sheesh.
Okay. So it will be a non-stop hail for you.
Come on, I can do this all day.
Okay.
You wrote down so many questions.
My wife wanted you to
only the good ones, Andy. We have too much.
Is home office a thing that is?
The wife's questions are the best.
And maybe connect this home office question also with maybe guide us a little bit through without going into too much detail. Think about how much you can say about security in the area of video game.
Like my favorite topic.
Yeah, like home office. How is security like?
What do you mean home office?
So, I mean, if you're...
I know what you mean, but I need to be sure we're talking about the same thing.
The way I imagine it is, you're currently working on this or that game mechanic, and you know what you have to do. You still have a lot of coding to do, and you have, Visual Basic Studio at your home computer, and then you just work on the missing code from at home. Is that a thing in the industry, or is that...
Only at small companies.
Yeah.
Stuff like this never happens at AAA games. Never. There are many reasons. Security. 2, it is impossible to have your pipeline installed at home.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
You need computers that come from the future. You need
NASA computers.
6 billion software to plugins to do a double click so you can launch 6 instances of the same thing, so you can do live edits on the dev kit that costs more than your household and you just rent it. To have your pipeline
just unimaginable
at home as a technician is laughable.
Yeah.
There's no way. As a designer,
So you're saying just on a technical standpoint, it would be impossible to do something.
art-wise is the same. Even concept art, the tech that you have, maybe you could do it from at home. But art, level art, everything that relies to engine and implementation, there's no way. Now,
does it happen that people draw something at home and they bring it to work? Oh, I drew this idea.
ideally, this should not happen because of security.
What?
I mean,
You can't draw at home an idea about the game you're working on?
No, you can't.
What?
You don't tell your family the game you're working on.
Yeah, but you're not sharing the drawing. You're just in your room, like, I'm working on this. Like,
The possibility of someone seeing that in a subway, getting dropped,
Is
or
too high?
a friend, just like, you know how Walter White got, spoiler alert, Breaking Bad, Walter White got nabbed by,
yeah,
saw the book?
he saw the book.
But because the way I have it,
Don't do it.
when I go to bed is the time when jokes flow to me the most. It's really weird. So when I am lying
but
in my
home office for you is
because when I'm lying in my bed and I think of stuff, I
his
have
bed
to
is right there.
I have to get up and write it down because the next morning when I wake up, this joke idea is gone and I'm not gonna get it back. And it happened to me so many times that I lie in bed and I'm like, this joke idea is so good, I'm not gonna forget it. And
So-
next morning I wake up and I'm like, fuck, where is it? Where is it?
Okay, so the company will not approve of this. You can still do it. There's nobody checking your stuff, but the company will not allow it. The second reason outside security is the work ethics. A lot of people, especially at high level, they struggle not to bring work at home because the moment you do that, the moment you go to the dark side, you need to separate these things as best as you can. If you're an unbridled creative guy, maybe you're happy doing it. Ideally, work happens at work. Ideally, if you're working from home, it needs to be DEFCON 1. Because if, you might just swell way better, and a lot of people do that, come at work to do it. It's quiet, it's Sunday, Saturday, you get free drinks, you get free food, and you can do it, and you're in professional environment anyway.
Okay.
Great.
So don't do
Interesting.
Man.
Damn. I wanted to bring this back a little bit to something that maybe most viewers can relate to, something that I find very interesting as just a content creator and somebody who watches YouTube. There are certain content creators who very much focus on negative aspects of the industry. They do gaming news and every day is something bad. Look at what this company did. Look at what they did. Oh, the scumbags, and they're bad. How does this sort of stuff end up on your end? Do you guys despise it? Or do you like, it's good that they exist?
No, it's...
Like, this little shit, what do you know?
My reaction is this.
That's a real gun, by the way.
It is. It's mine. That's how I get out into the street.
That's how he brought it.
I go all tactical all the time. This is journalism. This is sensationalism. This is what gets clicks. That's it.
But
there's nothing more than this. People unfold. They prey on people's negativity because this vindication, this feeling of this is bad is better than this is good.
Yeah, for some reason that is the case.
A news that this game sold more, or this game helped the blind people see, just goes by and you forget in 2 hours. But when you hear of them loot boxes,
loot boxes.
and how dare they think of the children? I'm not trying to minimize on the loot boxes; they have an impact on children. But think of it, and you can see the children. I took my money and I put it to her, and it was just disgrace. Yeah, you get it, and you're upset. My child opens loot boxes. I don't want that for my child. I remember playing Spyro the Dragon, and that was 50 years ago. I don't even. Things changed. Negativity gets clicks, gets people together. You feel like a band. You lash out at people who even remotely try to defend it. You belong to a space.
Yeah.
It's like watching your favorite football company. Oh, this loot box thing again.
Yeah.
What happened?
You took a shit
Was,
at the back of a bus.
It's very good now. It goes. Now it's in Brazil too. That's exciting. So it's a negative thing. Your following has more impact. It's the same. What we call in the narrative the sad, bitter story has more impact than the happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
Because it remains with you for a while and you like it. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the brain learns more from negative experience than positive
Because it
ones.
has to save it up again.
Positive ones are like, okay, cool,
Yeah.
irrelevant. Negative ones, oh, this is what I need to be afraid of. This is important to me. And because it doesn't happen to you, you're like, man, this could happen to me. And then your whole reptilian brain goes on DEFCON 1. So, just to reiterate, it's all sensationalism. It's bad. It's good. It's everything in between. Definitely, if we don't like this, something we need to talk about.
How much do people on your end keep in touch with things like this? Like, how close is the industry keeping tabs on what's happening online? Like, are there now maybe own departments that are focused on just go on the forums all day and what is
Yes.
the general feeling towards our company and our projects?
Yes.
Yeah?
People look,
A lot.
but not
right?
developers, because it's toxic. Your reviews, for instance, killed 3 people in my own team. They're still dangling there. We haven't taken them down.
As a reminder.
As a reminder, right? People avoid looking, not because they feel superior. It's nothing like that. But the vitriol and the feedback is too much for them. I mean,
maybe bad influence.
don't
also.
feel bad for developers. Yeah, criticize. You are defending the. I love this. You are defending the consumer. You are showing the issues. Marketing does their best to put the best thing forward, and they're not lying. Their best things might not be best for you. For other people, it's enough to have them on board. But we developers do not really check that. But there are some crazy people like myself who live on social media. No, actually, not. I don't live on social media. I live on sites like Polygon, Kotaku, whatever.
Yeah, but you have a genuine
And
interest.
I am boots on the ground because as a director, and not only, I need to understand the ebb and flow of the industry. If this catches me unaware, we're making games for 2 or 3 years in the future. We need to understand where things are going. And I know, and we've been caught with the pants around our ankles by fads that dissolves MOBAs and VR, you know what I'm saying? Right.
If I may connect to that question, because it kind of fits into that. When you work on a game and then it's release time, that's obviously the most exciting time, right? Where everybody's like, oh my God, what are people going to say?
Exciting doesn't cut it.
Yeah, there's no word for it probably for how crazy this time is.
It's utter unfettered fear. You've
Yeah.
seen Cory Barrow,
Oh my
Cory
God.
Barrow crying, reading reviews. It was a giant. A giant. The creative director of God of War was crying. And he said, I adopted myself so much. I adopted everything. I thought I drove this IP into the ground. And he said, quote, doubt kills more
Doubt,
dreams.
you mean doubt?
Doubt kills more dreams than fear. He was very self-reflecting and musing.
Yeah.
This is not exciting sometimes. It's just
Scary.
validation as a human being.
Because what I'm
Because you're so attached to what you're doing.
It's like
I'm
this.
interested in maybe you.
I mean, your videos, you make videos.
Exactly, but I'm
Don't you hawk on what is the reaction?
Yeah, that's
the
true.
comment. Oh, they're downvoted. Oh, I shouldn't have done
The
this.
comment section is essentially
just-
reviewing me too,
Yeah.
and but I'm wondering when it comes to my reviews, because I feel like they're quite unique in their humor. When a game developer watches it, is he able to separate these things and still laugh, or is he just the whole time, what is he gonna say about my game? What is he gonna say about my game? Or is he also be like, ha, look at that, what he just did?
I'm yet to meet people who are so detached in the industry.
Detached?
Yeah, detached. Some people are vindicated. Yeah, I knew that was bad. But they still feel bad. Make no mistake. They still feel bad.
Do you think some are able to laugh at a funny review?
Oh yeah, a lot. We laugh our asses out.
Yeah?
Make no mistake. We're not just the Valley of Tears. It's not the Swamp of Sorrow.
So when they see a funny review about their
we're
game,
laughing. We're spreading them things. I mean, I've got people who wrote me on Reddit, invited me to fist on my own genitals, based on
What?
Yeah, because they got beaten by one of the bosses that I made in Assassin's Creed, the Gaelic brothers, And the stuff that they wrote to me was just unreal. And I contacted them directly. This is a beautiful thing. You're like, hey, man.
About that fisting thing.
And I'm very sorry you had a hard time. And I know I'm not facetious. I really said, hey, man, I'm sorry. The contacts, tell me what you do. I engage people in discussions. But there are very few people who indeed go bad.
Yeah.
And this kind of motivates us, and that's real. Motivates us for the next project. We're gonna clean slate, complete improvements. Everything that has been not done and was not properly done is going to be done better tenfold.
It's good for me to know that when I make a funny review that I know that a developer may be also looking and also maybe giggling and not taking it, not like...
Everybody looks at them, man.
Yeah.
Everybody looks at them. We are under media ban. We're not allowed to speak because this is not the company angle. The company needs to bring their own voice out. You are an employee after all.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we're looking at your stuff, man. We're passing it around with the big reviews, the stuff that agree, the
IGN
stuff that did not
and
agree.
stuff.
Them not so much because we know they're not. I don't know. They're odd.
I always wondered about IGN because now I have you there with that little odd
Some
comment.
of the reviews are on the money, and then the rates are weird. Like either too much or too low.
What do you mean on the money? What do you mean?
They say what's wrong and what's good. They bring good and criticism, and they see the missing bits. But sometimes they're great. They're just weird.
If I may ask something here.
Oh my God. Did
is
I
there,
open the Pandora box?
Is there Bestechung? Is there
collusion?
No, is there, because IGN, there's been moments in the past where I looked at them like that money there was money flowing somewhere to somewhere.
No.
How could you
I would
think
be
something
shocked.
No, because sometimes I feel like it's not money. Maybe it's not money. Maybe it's just it's contacts. Like you're gonna give my game a bad grading. No problem, do it. But next time you want to get an inside look or an early copy, sorry.
This is what happens all the time.
Yeah.
One hand washes the other.
The negative reviews do so much harm that I cannot put to words. Projects fall because of
New
low
Vegas.
Metacritic.
There was something with New Vegas with Metacritic that the game didn't reach the Metacritic what they had to, so they didn't get to
Metacritic is a standard, is a benchmark. This is what they aim.
So much power.
And when some reviewer, it's negative, even compensations drop and projects are being unlit and validation is done, because that is the way the industry measures itself as a product.
Yeah.
So if some critic says some things, he's right, but that hurts the franchise as they move forward. So people react differently to these cases. Some of them are blacklist people. Some of them disregarded. Some see between the lines. But the people with the money, they don't read Kotaku. They watch the numbers because they're terribly busy people, and they need to golf. But it's true. It's extremely impactful, and every company deals with it in the ways that they do.
Yeah.
Good.
Is it fair? No, it's not. But a lot of things aren't fair.
I don't know if it's fair or unfair, actually. It's
people need
business
to speak. You believe a critic, he says his piece. Do you trust him? As a consumer, that guy's full of shit. Everything is true for us. For us, everything is true. So if there was so Jim Sterling gives a 4 to Odyssey, and it's taken into account in Metacritic,
it's a problem.
Nepabo.
Yeah. I actually think I would do the same way. If I was a company, a one-man company, I did awesome games, if somebody shat on my game, no problem, but you're not going to get the review copy anymore. I feel like I would feel the same.
Anyway, Jim Sterling shot on... I love Jim. Praise, thank God for you, Jim.
Jim Sterling?
Jim Sterling.
What is he?
Jim Sterling, the Jimquisition.
Fuck, I don't think I know that.
He's a wonderful chap.
No, I think I do. He got sued by that one I think I know.
Of many companies.
British guy?
Right.
I know.
He's very acidic. But he shat on Senua's Sacrifice because of a bug at the end of the game.
He shat on that game?
Oh, terribly.
That was one of my favorites of last year.
Because it was extremely frustrating. It was a groundbreaking bug. And he was right. When you receive a game with a breakthrough blocker, you're right to be angry.
Yeah.
That shit is unacceptable. It happens. Because you cannot play test it too. It happens. But you're right to be upset. and Jim shot on the game. And then, because of his crazy feedback, the shitstorm that came his way.
Oh, he got a shitstorm?
Yeah, people reacted. And he just redacted it.
Oh, he redacted it?
Yes.
Because when it comes to bugs and glitches, there's a bit of two different strings on reviewers. Some are like, yo, if there's a glitch, that's a horrible thing. For me, it's like, glitches have never in my video game life bothered me a lot. No, because I saw somebody compare it to when you buy a car and it doesn't start. That's a huge problem.
Oh, let's not start to those. This is not. But I feel like
it's not stretch of it's not the same thing.
Not
because
even close.
When the game has a glitch, even if it's a game-breaking glitch, it's gonna get patched it's gonna get patched very soon, and you can keep playing.
Not only that, the car functions on Earth.
Yeah.
For a video game. Parallel is like the car functions on all biomes known of the universe.
Where did I just saw that yesterday. Somebody comparing that. It's like a car not.
No.
Oh, it was on ACG's podcast, I think.
That's just silly beyond reproach. But whatever helps people understand the problem. Anyway, Andy, hit me, baby.
Okay.
Hit me with something hard.
That's what she said.
What?
I was not fishing for that.
You ran into that one.
But Jesus, you came out of it.
After that setup. I have one more working day routine question. With the vacation situation. If for example, you're one of the people that's working on a game and you have to meet deadline X. I mean, for a normal employee like my wife, she just has to, speak with her boss. I want to go on vacation from that to that time. She has to. She just does her thing. Yeah, but she doesn't work on a project that has to be finished at that time. So how is the vacation situation then?
So vacations, again, depends on project. The project number, how behind are you behind schedule, and how important your job is, and if you're a bottleneck, which means you have to receive a lot of data, and if you don't do your things, a lot of the things are paralyzed. That is a bottleneck. So it happens very often, especially with experts. But the rule is, in that department, there's always one person manning the guns. So we take vacations in such a way that there's always someone keeping the lights on, keeping the gas on,
who can
fixing
do that
stuff.
Too.
You might need to take, Anton needs to take some of the Andy stuff to fix it in case shit happens. But that's how we take vacations. For directors, things are dire. We rarely take vacations. I didn't took a real vacation in more than 2 years because all my vacations are fixing my life, which is shattered beyond belief.
Oh my God.
And I worked like a maniac every in and out, and when even out to work. I'm not saying I'm not self-victimizing here, but there's so much stuff hanging from me. And
responsibility.
Even if I'm at work and I'm like, we have a firestorm. Come on, there's nothing. And then what do I do? What do we change? We change this, we create this, and then I'm thinking about it all the time, and I cannot go on a vacation without taking my laptop with me and fixing some of the problems and some of the issues. So yeah, when that guy say they pull 100 hours a week, that is a lead. Leads do that. And they burn after projects that take sabbaticals. They take months without working, and they never really recover. This is called burning. But, hey, you gotta make an omelet.
The horse's balls have to shrink when it's cold. Yeah, that's where the 100 hours go.
I have a funny one, an interesting question. That is something.
Time to go for the funny area. Yeah. We've been in the dark side for too long.
The basic question is, I'm gonna continue after this basic question. Why are E3s so cringy? And what I mean by that is, how are presenters chosen? and the legendary Tak Fuji, who's in every single review. But then you have people like Ashraf Ismail, who is very charming, and Todd Howard, that guy is a god. He's such a charming. I said it before in a podcast. I'd be gay for him. But
casually cool. #no filter.
How are people who present these games on E3s? How are these people chosen? Are they sometimes actors who say they're developers who aren't actually?
No, that would be a gross violation of creative license.
Okay.
So they're all developers. Sometimes they're cringy. They practice. Some of them practice. I helped a fellow developer deliver a speech. He was terrified. He did not ask for this, but he was leading. So he needed to say.
Comes with the job sometimes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So these people are pitching even to internal teams and everywhere. Not all of them are. Most of them are introvert nerds that landed their dream jobs and just
Then they have to be on stage in front of millions.
16 years passed and you're an old man and you're still doing your job and you still can't address a crowd.
Yeah.
But they don't hire actors.
Mhm.
No.
And what I was
Unless
also
it's a presenter. Or
yeah, sometimes
a dancer.
but
To
it's
endorse,
also
maybe,
it's always made clear that it's
So
an actor.
Ash speaks very well. I'm a directors usually speak very well, but I met directors that are actually quite soft-spoken
Mhm.
and they're very creative, but they don't have the acting chops.
Because this is from a personal fanboy perspective. Can you say something about Todd Howard? Do you know something that keeps me awake at night?
What's his favorite food?
What's his favorite color? What does he? Just say something about him that you know.
In fact, I do.
Can you say something that you can
I
say?
can. No, I'm lying. I don't know anything. I just wanted to throw him a bone because he's excited. Look, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know anything about it, about Todd Howard. I watched no clips videos of how they did stuff, and I appreciate him as a person, as a man. But I don't know anything.
Nothing. You don't know his favorite color or his favorite food?
Nada, señor.
Is he a front wiper or back wiper?
I don't know, man.
God damn
Hello,
it.
I'm Todd Howard.
I
I'm
swear
a
to
front
God, I
wiper.
will meet this man. I promise. I will meet him. I will shake his hand. I will be like Fuzzy Tube and I will meet who met Drake. I will
need to go to E3 in 2 or 3 years from now.
I'm going to meet Todd Howard. I'm going to shake his hand and say, I love you.
Yongia shaked the hand of Hideo Kojima. It was a wet hand.
Yeah, I
from the
saw
bathroom.
that. I saw that.
He met him in an elevator. He had the right T-shirt. He had the right attitude.
But Todd Howard, I don't know. I have the feeling he's like
I
so
met Hideo Kojima once.
Damn.
Okay. If you're gonna pull this stuff, I met Christian Bale once.
Oh my God.
No joke, I didn't.
Christian who?
Batman.
I met him.
Excellent.
Ha! So you can all shut the fuck up.
When?
It was at a movie set.
It was
It's a long story. I don't want to get too much into it, but my dad has a connection with film directors, and he did a film in China, and I was on the set, and
You know the
It
movie.
was the Great Wall. No.
the
The
flowers
Flowers
of Nanjing.
Nanjing.
I haven't seen it.
And I was, I was on set, and okay, now I'm gonna tell that story.
Very depressing.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
movie.
yeah,
It's horrible.
my
It's very sad.
God.
But dude, I was in the room.
Did you breathe his air?
Yeah. Dude, I was standing next to Christian Bale, my dad, the director, and the translator, and he was explaining a scene to Christian Bale, and I was right next to Christian Bale while he's thinking about the scene.
And you thought, let me guess, I could pinch his butt.
What would he do?
Unfortunately, I was 16. My English wasn't that great, and I was just a nervous wreck. And I was like, "That's Christian Bale, right? That's Christian Bale." And I was very nervous. I took some pictures and I talked a little bit with him, but damn, I was so nervous. Next one, very interesting. I think to you guys also. When a big game comes out from a competing company that has nothing, it is a competition, right? Let's say Red Dead Redemption. When a game that is that big, where all eyes are on that game, do you as a company, or maybe Ubisoft, how it was there, is there a meeting where you all play that game and you discuss what it is, or everyone sort of plays it at home and then you say, yo, they did this, that was pretty cool, or is it a real big deal, like we have to play together and look at what the fuck they did here?
There are people, experts of gaming labs, that they send reports or every aspect. We are professionals. We are in the know for projects that are going to come in 2 or 3 years. That's all I can say.
Okay.
If we don't have this awareness, we'll be blind.
So
yeah, you're blind.
So,
Yeah,
so there are no surprises, like.
There are surprises, of course.
So you are okay.
But we do receive reports. We do talk. We do find out things. in the industry at an upper level, things are way more connected than it shows because this industry works together. We're like the Camarilla, from the Vampire the Masquerade. All the vampire clans are structured in this body called Camarilla. They're in competition with each other.
But they're still all vampires.
They need to protect the masquerade.
But is there not something like it is required from you as an employee that you have to play Red Dead Redemption and know that what's new now in this?
Now that is a different topic. If your gameplay is close, you will have your employees
as a homework, like you play that game at home.
I buy these games myself and I give them to my guys and I say, if you don't understand this combat, I cannot use you for this next project because they're doing two things extremely good and I won't tell them what they are, but you need to understand. And I hate it, Dark Souls. I hate it. It's stupid. It's shit. It's obtuse. I won't use you. You need to understand it. If you don't understand it, you cannot work combat. Because they define the genre because of these two elements. And after 3-4 days, you're going to have to talk about it. Tell me about gating. How do you do soft gating on combat?
Can you say what's gating?
Gating is when you stop a player from
so you're not
doing
supposed
something.
to go there, or
you don't go there. How do you soft gate it? As in, you can still pass, but with trouble, with skill.
You mean like new areas that are too tough?
No. Imagine Zelda. There's a really really high tower, whatever, and you're gonna die before you get there. But you could also stack up on food that regenerates stamina. And you can burn that food, which is expensive, but you could get that area, or that is soft gating. So, to answer your question, yes, certain games, they're mandatory to be played, and we look at them, and we do video footage, and we discuss. We're not trying to reverse engineer them, but we look way deeper than that. We look at what we call the atomic ingredients. Because that is the difference between a shoddily made Me Too copy of a game and a game that takes that concept and takes it a bit further.
Saints Row,
it won't take it where you want as a consumer, but is an already quite a different creature that has the potential to grow. But as with all games, you have to stop growing for a while and grow it into the next project and so on and so forth.
Damn, that's interesting.
Was that a Patreon question?
No, that was just a
Rantoni question.
Sorry guys if we can't get through all your Patreon questions, but
let's do another Patreon.
Let's see if there's a good one.
Tell me the name of the gentleman.
There was a guy.
Lady.
His question was already answered, but he wants me to say his name. Emre Çırpan, a Turkish guy from Austria. What's up? Çok güzel, which means very nice in Turkish. Çok güzel, yufka, döner, and I think son of a bitch is orospu çocuğu. So that's all I know.
How do you what's the name?
Emre Çırpan. I think that's how you say
Emre Çırpan. Emre Çırpan. Where do I speak? Emre Çırpan. I am half Turkish. I don't know anything of Turkish.
But yarak, that's dick. Yarak is dick. I know that.
My grandfather name is Mustafa Ismail. My grandmother, her name was Gudruman Elimas, and they owned a sword and a rifle, and they slept on many pillows, and we took like 2 baths a day.
Damn, I think you got more than you bargained for, Emre.
Emre,
that was nice.
You Patreoned the right channel, man.
No, it's true. It's
okay.
true.
Oh, that's a good one from Mabek. Have Mr. Developer ever pitched a game idea or created your own game? If not, is it something that you thought about?
Oh, like, how much time do we have? No, so I'm trying to be very, very, very quickly.
Yeah.
I worked on my own games, my indie games, which reached different stages of development. And they were completely unique. And they were games that I wanted to do. One of them is with nuns. I pitch a lot of new gameplay and new game sections to clients, a lot. New that takes the game in directions that they did not expect it. A lot. That's my job. That is my job. That's what I do as a creative. I have to convince you. How about Nepal? What do you mean Nepal? Yeah, it is. Is that Nepal?
Yetis don't exist.
Is that even Nepal?
So I pitch a lot of things.
Yeah.
As for projects from ground up, I am doing it right now. I'm pitching fully blown IPs, and working with many things, and it's more challenging than I thought it would be, because previously to this I did this under a safety net of other direction, but when you build everything from ground up, then boil it into the essentials, and then boil it again in something people can understand, it requires an ungodly amount of work, especially for a new IP. And this is dissolving me like them pills. At some point you just need to crawl out of the mug to be okay, and then you go back and
Is it
because you don't know what's good and you don't know what's bad, and everything is fine, and then you take a good night's sleep, and you see, because it's so complicated. You do pillars, you do meta, you do blueprints, you do directions, forms. Everything needs to fit this. When you fit the squares, it's outside already. It's a method to it, and it's a lot of effort.
You just mentioned the word pillars, and I heard you talk about pillars before. Can you elaborate a little bit on that, what it means? Because you told me before that a game development process is all about focusing on a couple of pillars.
Yes. So pillars are 3 or 4 inviolable rules that we set from the onset. Pillars are exotic. What is it's
like USP, like
it's
a
a
unique
buzzword, that encapsulates something very important. Challenge is a pillar. Visibility is a pillar. And we gathered these 3 pillars for this particular mandate, as we call them, which is a slice of what we're doing. And whatever it's not attached to one of these pillars gets cut to the side. They are the foundation on what you're building on.
And you have to focus on only a couple of pillars, right? Otherwise the game gets too...
3, maximum 4. And you look at them. This is important for directors, clearly, but also for people who develop. So you're thinking, this new feature, is it part of the pillars? Does it make sense in the framework? Because pillars, they frame a picture in a way. Yeah. Is this in
You
the
can't
picture?
draw outside of the picture.
It's beautiful, but it's too big. You could cut it. You need to frame it, but you cut it. It looks weird. You remove it.
Fuck.
The pillars are framing, and it helps us take things in the direction and make sure
no problem.
Make sure we don't lose heading, because losing headings, it gets to feature creep. You've seen the problems with the gameplay, is that it feels unfocused. You get an area, it's horror, but also bright, but also action, and you don't know exactly what it is, and it feels good, but it's not focused. Having a focus is extremely important. Yeah. You can't make a game where you do everything. You need to do a game where you do something very good, and then you see whatever supportive things support that. Otherwise, you get bored.
Okay, the questions I have remaining are more like not particularly into game development, so maybe we can save those for last. Do you have any game development related?
This is also an interesting from... this is a cool question, maybe if we talk about games specifically, like games themselves. There's a person asking most emotional gaming moment what we ever had. Maybe everyone can, not necessarily, he's talking about tears, but also like straight up anger, and maybe everyone can name one.
Does he mean in the development process?
No, when you play a game. When you play a game.
Play a game, okay.
Oh yeah. You guys can start so I can...
I saw this question, of course, beforehand, and I thought about it a lot. I think I never cried during a game. And I just realized that after reading that question, I think I never cried while playing a game. I've been extremely
Why
sad.
would you? You're a man.
What is crying?
I'm going to be honest with you. I've been extremely sad and outright depressed before. I remember in GTA 4, there's some stuff that happens in the end where no matter what you choose, it sucks. And it bothered me a lot. And I was very sad about it. The end of Red Dead Redemption 1 made me very sad. There was stuff in Mass Effect 2 that made me sad. Knights of the Old Republic, the ending fucking tore me apart when I was just like 14. But I don't think I ever cried.
Keyword 14.
Yeah.
Let's add a value to this question. Let's say, what moments made you sad or impacted you emotionally after the age of 22? Because the Sailor Moon makes you cry when you're
Exactly. Yeah, when you're in puberty, I mean,
it's like you see a used condom, you're like
when you're sharpening your pencil and it breaks, like, oh, the world is fucking against me.
Something more recent.
I got nothing.
You've become a jaded.
I've become so dead
man.
inside. Every time I see something sad, I'm like, no, just kidding.
No.
Oh God, I'm gonna cut that out.
So I just wanted to answer the question.
Please.
The last time that even fits the criteria of 23 and after. The last time a game really left me like angry was The Last of Us. The ending there they chose. I think the way they ended the story
We had a huge discussion about this.
I subscribe to
was
what you're saying.
great, but it wasn't satisfying. Like the game was done and everything fit so perfectly together, but I was so angry at the ending.
It's like The Road. Did you see The Road?
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like that. Yeah.
This is a narrative method where there is no end in sight, and you're just bracing for impact, for problem. It's the same similar thing that The Walking Dead does. Basically, there is so much calamity happening, and you don't know where you're going because most of the journeys they have a destination. So, and the ending always feels, because there's no climax. You cannot have. That's the downside. You cannot have an ending that it really speaks for all the hardships, because there is no structure to that hardship. We're not going to Shimba. We're not going there and we die on the stairs. We just went through a lot of bad shit and suddenly it ends. Even it doesn't matter how climatic it is. Shooting the hospital. Doesn't matter. It doesn't make, because you are always expecting the things. So that's the problem. But I agree. That was a very realistic moment.
Exactly.
I didn't know what to feel at the ending.
It's just so conflicted.
I became sad in retrospect, thinking more about it. It's like, man, with these lies, it's like.
Did he doom humanity? But also, I get it. They would have killed his
But that's not his daughter.
And to be honest, I don't like that they're continuing their story. I don't like it. I love when let some characters just be. Let some stories be unfinished.
Yep.
That's what
it is.
When I hear rumors about a Fight Club sequel or about a Big Lebowski sequel, I get so pissed because I'm like,
what's there to add?
Let them be.
I can't play the new Clementine game, man. Clementine from Telltales. She went. I can't just go for another piggyback. Right? Let her story end. The little girl, the father figure. Let it be die. Let's like. J.K. Rowling can't leave Harry Potter fucking around.
Harry Potter spin-off 5000.
Stop it. It was good.
What was your? Do you have a gaming moment?
Yes. Shadow of the Colossus, the ending.
Made one of Andy's favorites.
Made me cry. Yeah. When I became the Colossus and people were killing me, I entered on that.
Spoiler alert, maybe.
It's 20 years old, God. And looking left and right at the people were killing me, and I tried to hurt them so bad, and I could not catch them. I entered that space immediately. And when they cast the spell, and I tried to hang on to it,
and you're getting sucked into the fountain
and then
there.
the girl slowly wakes up, and I'm doing my damnedest. It was just insane. It was just insane, and I cried. I was like this. I was wet. Oh shit.
Wet.
Oh shit. shit, this is heavy. Heavy. And then I was because I was prepped by the horse thing.
Yeah, with losing the
And
horse.
when you lose the horse,
yeah.
you go on foot, and you never feel so alone in your life because all those planes you stride it on.
Yes, exactly.
You take
were
it on
like-
foot is like insane. And at the end, they hit you in the post-credit scene.
with the woman taking the
Yes, and you
newborn
realize
baby.
that she does not know you at all.
Yeah.
Even when it was just crazy. And the second one was during, and people are going to maybe cry, was during God of War 2 when Dominic finds his wife Maria.
God of War.
Gears of War.
Gears of War.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Gears of War 2.
Yeah,
when Dominic-
yeah.
Unfortunately, that moment was ruined for us because we had a
played it in German.
We had
That
a
was-
German version, and the German synchronization was so outright, laughably funny, sad shit that we laugh. We have this like a running gag.
But during that scene, there weren't many
this is
dialogues.
the
It's a lot of dialogue because they speak and then Maria. Maria,
But
you're
isn't
fine.
that the one where the camera turns
Yeah,
from
yeah,
her
that
being
one, yeah.
beautiful, and then the camera goes past him, and then she's like this
emaciated.
skeleton? Yeah.
was
Yeah.
it in the underground? She's
Yes,
like,
yes, yes. Where
Yeah,
she's in
and
in
she
these-
shoots.
Oh, yeah.
He shoots her
Yeah.
and turns the camera and see the gun, and he says, "Maria, Maria, baby." So what I liked about that scene was that the actor had no words. He was so into whatever. Sometimes the grief is too much, and you get these conflicting thoughts, and you don't know how to deal with it, and you know what to say, because Marcus looks at him dumb.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's how can that be okay? There's nothing. Fucking Marcus Phoenix, dumb. It's okay. There's no. It was just terrible, and I was watching. I was like,
now that you say
Yeah,
that,
man. Now that
I
you say
never
it.
saw
remember.
it coming. I was not ready.
Yeah.
It was a sucker punch.
Yeah.
what
I was
happened to
not
Gears of
ready.
War, man? What's such a great franchise?
Man, after that end, I was weeping. I did not knew Maria, but Dom sold it to me.
Yeah.
And then Marcus was picking up some armor and said, "Hey man, if you wanna go in guns blazing, fuck it. Let's just do that.
Let's light him up.
You put your things, you go inside." That was a really good moment. A really good moment because it's so impossible. Do you kill her? Do you try to save her? The situation, life is a shawarma. It's just there's shit inside and you have
Man,
to deal with it.
that
Now that
moment
you
kind
say-
of got lost
No,
in
you're right,
the
you're
game
right.
for us.
Because we always think about this bad German. There's that one moment where this character in German, he says like, "Oh my God, I lost her again," and he says it in German, and it's so cringy. He's not even synchronized with the lips, and it's just, and we laugh so much about that. But you're right, actually. When I think back, there was some
The
really-
voice actor completely did it, and that's why the performance is so important.
Let's talk about voice acting some more. If you don't
Yeah.
mind me interjecting a question right there, because
Please, we're ready.
I mean, they are actors. So, but have you witnessed that an actor, because they have to scream these lines and cry sometimes, that they actually become actually emotional themselves, and they like 1 minute. Then they say like, "Can I have 1 minute? Just shit's getting intense." Or are they so professional like again?
So I haven't been to many casting things, but what I can say is that actors, depends if they're doing voice work, just the voice, not the mocap performance, because sometimes they do mocap performance and voice at the same time, like Uncharted or
Detroit, right?
Yeah, clearly. But sometimes they just come with their things and they have their little weird jackets and the beards. Hey man, okay, this is my lines. Yeah, let's look at it. All right. And they're very casual about it, but suddenly they go into space, and you see it. They are in the space, and when they ask, "Was that too much?" or you can feel that they're like sticking their head out of the water. Was that too much?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Is that too much?
So they are in the zone.
Okay.
and then back into
That's the actor. As an actor, and this is something we discussed, your only job is not to pretend, is not to emulate, but to own. You own it. It's not your text. You wouldn't say things like this. You wouldn't act like this. So you need to own it and act like this. And put enough emotional baggage on you. on a similar situation that happened to you, to tap into that energy so you can project it real. This is projective even by writing. You get a lot of sentiment and energy just by communicating with chat.
Mm-hmm.
There is this weird metaphysical, and I'm sorry I bring it here, but you communicate emotion through mediums that are outside audio and video. And that thing gets a clear-cut imprint. And some lines of dialogue in a game, they're delivered in such a way you love Jack Black in oh man, what is the Tim Schafer game with a kid?
Brutal Legend?
No.
Psychonauts.
No, not Psychonaut one. I'm messing up. But no, yeah, Jack Black plays the character there. I'm sorry, I'm old. I'm 38. There is a platformer with a child and the girl. One is the future, one in the past. You come in together. It's a tremendous game. I'm missing it. Anyway, the point is there are some lines, but because I created my ear, it made me smile because I felt Mr. Black's personal feelings and delivered those lines, and it communicated so well, and it made me laugh. I wasn't even not paying attention. I was like, man, this is so powerful. We remember the bitter, sad things. Again, we remember those are the most impact, but emotion, happiness, if you go in that space and you remember when you were happy and you're delivering, you're seeing someone in a line, you're like, hey man, if it's a weird line, if it's old English, you still say it, and they still say it, but the energy makes you believe it, and it's just great. So yes,
Andy, can you click on record?
So actors, yes, actors go into some of them do.
Probably the best voice acting of recent memories, God of War. The Kratos.
Boy.
Yeah, but it's
Boy.
I found it so amazing.
He did a lot with very little, and that is great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's
he
pretty
doesn't
much like
speak
the
much.
Terminator. Yeah, he
Boy.
every line
But
is
how much emotion he carries in his voice. In the beginning, when the stranger comes, I watched it again. When he says, "Leave my house," it's like, oh my God.
I didn't finish the game.
You didn't finish?
No, I'm sorry, but I think the strongest moment was very close by when you are rowing in the boat to the sun, and suddenly the sun says something stupid, and Kratos snaps.
yeah.
And you take the control and go, shut up, boy.
Yeah, you never. The boy says like you never really loved her anyway.
Yeah,
or
something.
it's
So what do you know? I grieve in my own way.
Yeah.
But he was whoa. Well, he was not angry. He was exposed for the man child that he is, and he could not kill the son, and he went, shut up, boy.
Yeah.
Do you?
I grieve in my own way.
Is there a reason why you didn't? Is there a reason why you didn't finish that game?
Yes, I don't like the combat.
What?
I'm sorry. I know it's a huge fan. I am a big combat nerd. I
Really?
did combat for many games. I'm doing combat now. The combat in that game with the cooldown combat and the positioning and turning and the camera up his ass and the current juggling and the cooldown based mechanic and the monsters doing reactive attacks in less than 8 frames with very little anticipation, because attacks have 3 components: anticipation,
Telegraphing, yeah.
anticipation, which you know from the direction, and it's a big attack, big anticipation. Delivery, and then recovery when you jump in. So, all right, that thing is kind of thrown off the window, is very regular, but that's not the only reason I stopped playing the game.
But that blows my mind right now. That blows my mind right now. That's so interesting. Because
He's wearing a Dark Souls t-shirt.
No, because I love Dark Souls gameplay in combat, but I also love the gameplay of God of War so much. I thought the fighting system was incredible.
Good. But don't let me take it away from you.
No,
This is just pet peeves that a senile 38-year-old guy has with an otherwise flawless game that I bring up on all my presentations. Mr. Balrog. Sure, God, among men.
Can you maybe explore more? What is it about that combat system that you don't like? Is not enough projecting the attack, or too little recovery?
I don't like the attacks of the monsters. Not all of them. Some of the big monsters are okay.
They're too strong, or too
no,
fast?
they happen too fast. There's very little telegraph. There is not enough side telegraph.
Okay.
So it's hard to see. You find giant big monsters. You don't see their attacks. The camera work does not help you. and you're hit by a lot of cheap attacks. I don't like the way they handle hyper armor, which is
What's hyper armor?
Where you can't be interrupted.
Yeah, it's when the monster is in an invincible state and he does attack no matter what you do.
Okay.
So basically what you're doing is a poking
Like
game.
Dead Rising, that was really bad. in
Attack,
Dead
attack,
Rising.
and then withdraw. Attack, attack, and then withdraw.
Which
attack,
makes
attack.
quick attacks so much better than...
That's how you defeat all the game. And then with all these to the side, there is no real resource management, what we call stamina and energy. There's no real balance.
Was there stamina in the game?
No.
It was, but it was... I think it was, but it was very easy to... They use stamina not for dodging, but yeah, but they use it for...
Was there stamina in the game? You had your health bar and the fist bar.
But there was a dodge stamina, wasn't it? I used stamina for
I don't
something.
think so.
Fuck, I don't remember.
I'm an idiot. Anyway,
Shit. All of us, god damn it.
there is no resource management where how much time do I remain in the first area in the circle of engagement when it's a good time to backpedal. Backpedaling is the answer for everything, but then again, so it is in Assassins. Sorry about that. There is a lot I don't like. There is a lot. But the combat is a cut above what I would call good combat. Don't get me wrong. But for me, it just ticked all the bad boxes. Camera, too close. They even had to do an input to instantly turn like back in Resident Evil 4. Yeah. The juggling mechanic was ridiculous. They used the same abilities. All the abilities that you do are pointless. You level up and you don't need them. At some point you're like, oh Jesus, I have 25 skill points. You are fighting a cooldown base like an MMO. And I again dislike that because this is not World of Warcraft. I'm sorry. You don't do your super attack. It's okay. Now I'm in the middle of 100 monsters. I don't care. I invalidate all the positioning, all my strategy, because I have the ultimate attack, which is gonna... Yeah. All these things are less than ideal solutions to real combat problems.
That is a perfect segue, because my next question is, do you think... Okay, how much does...
I like the combat. Don't get me wrong.
Don't worry. This channel is a lot about disagreement. People disagree with me all the time.
But it's one of the things that kept me... I did so much of it, and I was like, oh, yeah, this shit again. This shit again. It's like having a pebble in your shoe.
Okay. If you weren't a developer right now, would you see it differently? And also, you being a developer, now when you play a game, do you sometimes notice that you have this glasses of a developer on yourself?
I'm poisoned.
And you're like, sorry?
I'm poisoned. I can't enjoy games anymore. Yeah. It's true.
Fuck, dude! That's what I wanted to hear.
Look at me.
I have a similar thing because
the answer you gave to the God of War combat is like that's the most game developer answer I've ever heard. You just see it in such a way.
At some point, it insults your intelligence.
No, but
you're looking at it and you're shaking your head, and it's a great game, man. Just like Zelda, it's a great game. But as a developer, you have your stupid pillars made from sunburnt sand that turns to glass, and you just see things in a different way. But that all directors are like this.
Yeah. Do you think that's a problem though? That becomes like sort of a tunnel vision that sometimes developers they have to distance themselves from this developer goggles and just become like, let's try to see it like a normal gamer again. We've become too much developers.
No. It's like, can you stop drinking? Okay, fine. I won't drink. I'm done drinking for 2 months until Anton's birthday. It's just his birthday. So yeah, you can suspend your glasses, but I enjoy a lot of games. I play a lot of games. I play most games than my peers. I play everything. I sunk ungodly hours in Warframe and World of Warcraft. I have 600 hours in Dark Souls 3. It just doesn't make sense. And I play everything, but I am criticizing everything. But at the same time, I've developed, and this is something I struggle with everybody that joins my team and work on it. You need to tell me what's wrong. Even if you think it's bad, you're not a YouTuber. I'm sorry.
You mean even if you think it's good, you have to say what's bad?
Yes, I use the word YouTuber a lot. And I said, you're not a YouTuber. I need you to analyze this molecularly and give me an answer that I understand what do you think is wrong with it. Because there is no inherent bad gameplay, folks. There is no bad combat. The Silent Hill combat is a good combat. The on the PlayStation 1. There is just orthodoxy. And what are you expecting? And expectations. This is built on power fantasy and what you build to the player.
Yeah.
A shit combat could be a quick time event from all the way, but some people are going to enjoy them. And if you condition the player that this is the combat, they will say things like, yeah, but it has a good rhythm. Yeah, but it has good flow. Yeah, but I don't have to look for... So that's what I'm trying to say. If you don't like something, it's because of you. There's a lot of people who are going to love it. Some of them are approached, they're established genres, and they expect... You don't expect chivalry combat in Quake.
Yeah.
You only have... Imagine... It already feels like, what is that clunky shit?
Yeah.
But if you see that same shit in other game, like, so
Kingdom Come Deliverance, yeah.
What you do, the slab on the side, and you... So pick your battles, focus your game.
Todd Howard said once that...
Jesus Christ, I'm a mess.
Todd Howard said once that in his presentation that when it comes to criticism, always look at what they complain about, never listen to their answers. Never listen... like, all those YouTubers always listen to what do they not like, but never listen to their solutions. Is that something that you would sign? His reasoning is because they don't know how to make games. They're just gamers. What bothers them, that is a problem that we have to look at, but they don't know the work process behind making a game. Don't listen to their solutions.
It's very right. There's very few YouTubers, I'm sorry, gentlemen. Despite your expertise, there's a lot of things you get very superficial, and you get... games are holistic things, right? They're part of ingredients to create something better. Taking into account each ingredient is not as exciting. You are doing this criticism based on superficial stuff, and that's fine. For your clients, that might be fine. But indeed, there's a lot more happening in the background. And of course, this is something that we discussed already. When you ask someone, what do you think, they lie to you. They're not true. Even if they think you can put them to a lie detector, and it's going to be, the guy is truthful. The moment when you ask someone to become a critic, they become someone else. They stop being themselves, and they tell you what they think you want to hear. They become critics. The only way you could see someone's reactions and likes and dislikes is to watch them as they play and watch their facial expressions, because the good things or the bad things and how they're not going to mention those things. They're going to hook their claws into something, and that's going to make it an issue far bigger than it is, and they're going to outline certain issues, and a lot of things are going to come to fore, and some values, some virtues will become flaws. That doesn't mean you shouldn't criticize the games. You will criticize based on your understanding. But when you take to the mic and you start writing the script, you are already wrong. You are wrong. Not wholly, but partially. Yeah. And that sends you on a slingshot trajectory around the problem. And a lot of people are going to feel the same way, because you are formulate opinions. Yeah, you're right. I felt that was wrong. Yeah, clever me, because he's clever. Oh, we're clever together.
Yeah.
yeah. Damn.
So critics are gay.
He just shut on my channel.
No, man, Jesus. I watch your channel. Your reviews. That's why I'm here to eat a schnitzel.
We ate some great schnitzel.
I watch small time YouTubers. That's my...
Once I get bigger, you're not going to watch anymore?
I know, Ranton. I'm very sorry. I watch small-time YouTubers because they are very keen and very angry, and they don't care about shit, and they're raw, no condom, beautiful. And I watch their reactions because it's closer than the other people that are more considerate. Okay, maybe this information people will not understand.
It becomes politics, right?
No, it's not even that. That's one thing, but but I can't say that. I need to tie it to other things so it makes my sense. My critique is pertinent. But small-time YouTubers suddenly my horse.
I know what you mean.
I didn't like that.
They're not articulate, but
same rocks every time.
It's not articulate, but it's real in a way.
Right. So they're sometimes hard to watch. And I'm subscribed to many small-time YouTubers. I don't tell anything. You're the only one I posted shit on because you're very funny. But that was the same reason I watched, because you said some stupid shit. But I was like, man, this guy. and you bought me when you said, in Ubisoft, there should be a rule. What you can see other NPC do, you should be able to do.
Yes, I will die by that rule.
And I was like, man, that's so childish. Like, how can he? But it's so bright-eyed. I like it.
He has hopes.
He's
hopes
right.
to be crushed.
He's so cute. That's so cute.
That's weird. You're crossing a line.
So yeah, that's why I watch. I don't watch big-time reviewers, with 2 exceptions, which I kind of check in to make sure where the market is going. But to get
Mike,
Mike,
don't forget the mic.
Mike, sorry, to understand where the market is going. But for actual criticism, I tune in with the small people.
Interesting. Damn. You know what I've noticed? I wanted to touch on this also. When I was just a normal gamer, no critique, no online stuff, I was never in my life bothered by amount of content. And that is something, this is something that I noticed. What is a problem? Honestly, this is a problem with reviewers. When you review a game as a reviewer, it is not in your interest if the game becomes too long. And that is something that you, as a consumer of reviewers, you have to keep that in mind, that when a game becomes too long and grinding has never in my life as a gamer bothered me ever. Call me crazy. When
World of Warcraft.
When I was just a gamer,
Exile.
when I was just a normal gamer, kill 10 people over there.
Great.
I'll do that. I'm immersed. I have fun. But once I'm a reviewer, I'm like, another thing that I have to do before I get to the credits and I can write my review. And I have noticed that many people out there, many big reviewers, when they complain about a game being too big, it's because they were frustrated because they have to get their review out. And that's something.
Is the critic thing,
Anton. One second. While I'm playing, when I notice, this game is quite big. I had this with Assassin's Creed Odyssey so hard. Then I take a moment to sit back, take a breath and say, the review is going to come out when the review is going to come out. I'm going to finish this game and enjoy it like I was a gamer back then. Just do these quests. Just forget about the review. Just play. And the sacrifice is you're going to get the review a week too late. The good side is I'm going to play this game like a gamer, not like a reviewer. So now when I see reviewers talk about a game is too long and too grindy, I'm always like, yeah, you wanted to get the review out sooner, didn't you?
They are reviewers. They sit on an extra chair when they're reviewing.
Yeah.
They put their reviewer hat and this positively negative. But that ingredient works well in another context. Yeah, it works well. But you think, oh, this is anti-consumer. Oh, this is a negative. Reviewers fall in that quicksand. And it makes sense because they dig deep. But sometimes they see shadows where they're not in shadows. Like Assassin's Creed monetizations. There's nothing there. There's no issue there. The game works.
You mean with Odyssey?
Yeah. The shitstorm?
The microtransactions? Dude, I didn't talk about them because I didn't notice them.
The shitstorm was unbelievable. I'm going to get a lot of bad karma points for this. They are.
Down dudes.
But that is so
they have
interesting.
to. This is the industry. Folks.
Company got to stay in business. I mean, come on.
I don't like microtransactions in any games for no reason.
There's no director.
But dude,
that's like more.
Yeah. But when
you want to make the game, man, like, you know.
But when I saw Angry Joe's review, I don't watch any review before I do mine. I started his review and I'm like, whoa, he's talking for 10 minutes about microtransactions. I missed something here. I didn't even notice them. I always had enough money to upgrade my weapons. I always had enough resources because I went out into the world. I did quests. I had fun. I wasn't like, oh, fuck, I have to grind 3 levels to make this quest.
But I understand. If you're a reviewer, like you said, you need to cut to the chase. You cannot cut to the chase.
Yeah.
That's what I try to avoid.
That's bad because you need to do side quests. And okay, side quests are not as creative as one in The Witcher. That's a problem of the game, for sure. But that's how the game is meant to be played, folks. That's how the game is meant to be played.
Yeah, games are meant to be played, not to be
reviewed. You don't go from campaign to campaign to campaign.
Yeah.
Save gating, soft gating.
One of the reasons why my reviews take a while, because I write jokes, it's a complicated process, but I lie back and I'm like, I'm just going to play this.
May I get some water?
I'm just going to play it and have some fun with it. And maybe you've noticed that the way my reviews are written are the way I talk about games with my friends.
I have no idea. This is the first time I meet you. Thanks a lot.
But like,
This is whiskey. That's how they're treating me.
Proper 12.
Shite.
You took a shit at the back of a bus.
This is hard. What the hell is this?
So yeah, I try to describe a game the way when I'm meeting my friend and they ask me, yo, what's good about this game, what's bad? I'm like, yo, this motherfucker, da 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 da. And then I write like I talk. I don't write like I would write a book. And that's something that I try to do. Sometimes it works more, sometimes less. Yeah.
Reviewers, their heart's in the right place. You're helping
Mostly.
the industry forward, sideways, backwards. But you're helping it. People, lay down the hate. That's my only concern. If you put the hate, you're going to see shadows everywhere. You're going to see hate and despicable things everywhere. Look at the... Try not to...
Sometimes...
vampires everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's us versus them.
Yeah, these channels that are focused on negativity
I
really
think-
trigger me. Please.
They're great. It's good. Let's talk about these things. Yeah, but sometimes it's just a bit too much.
Mhm.
Just a bit too much.
I wonder, do they even enjoy video games sometimes? Like, they talk shit all day long. Do you enjoy this
Of
shit?
course they do. Of course they do.
But
And
why would...
They're passionate people. They're
I'm also
really
passionate. But I'm
Yeah,
also passionate, but I don't... Even when I review really bad games, maybe you've noticed that I always say also, yo, there's good stuff here too.
Yeah, I rarely know how you think about a game until the very
Yeah.
end when you give it.
That happened a lot to me because
That's
like,
true.
yo, you just shat on the game and you give it an 8. And sometimes people
No,
say,
it's just a joke.
You just praised it and you give it a 6? It's like, yeah, because I like to
you
keep things fresh.
You give 7s.
Normalverteilung.
You're in on the meme.
Of course I do, because I have the same problem.
Most games are 7s.
I'm very critical. I can say that Gears of War and God of War touched me in ways very few games ever did. I can say that, but I didn't finish them, and I wouldn't say they're 10 games.
Mm.
Critical. Yeah.
Andy, do you have something?
Do we have more Patreon?
We have, but we're not going to get through all of them because we touched on some already, kind of.
Okay.
Maybe do you have one?
Yeah, but my question's more of a exiting question. So,
Nah, there's one here that is really good.
Yeah.
And that's...
maybe you might want to mention the patrons. You know,
Yeah.
even if their question was answered.
Yeah, if your question wasn't asked, sorry guys, but we have to keep the conversation flowing. So Lars, Konstantin, thank you. Rhino Exile, thank you. Lefteris Kugus, thank you. Funniest names. Then one guy's name is none of your business. Thank you. Zen, thank you. Mabek, thank you. Ari, thank you. Counterpoint, thank you. Emre Chirpan, Orospu,
Our friend.
and Michael. You guys are awesome. And when I read your questions, you guys blew my mind because it's like some really awesome stuff here. Oh, there's one also great question the guy asks is, what is something that is disconnected from gaming? Just a general thing because we're almost to the end of the podcast. What is something you've always wanted to do but haven't done yet, and why haven't you done it yet?
Okay, that question maybe comes out of the blue
I
for
feel
you.
like, I feel like I'm too young to answer that. Like
yeah, we
You
still have
gu-
our
you two are
lives
old
ahead.
There is an answer to this, but it's gonna get depressing quick.
Okay, then let me start first. What do I wish I have? Nothing. I've had a great, amazing childhood. I'm very happy. I wish this channel was more successful, but that's
It's getting there.
yeah,
Shut up.
it's getting there.
You have a good growth.
Yeah, I have an amazing wife. I had spent 3 years in a temple. I'm very happy. Andy, what about you?
I maybe, with age come different aspirations. And one thing that I always wanted to do since I was very small and it kind of stuck with me, and I've never got around to do it, is a Pacific cruise. Or it doesn't have to be
cruise?
These huge cruise ships.
You know what happens on a tour? Life of Pi?
Yeah, no, let's exclude
Bill
that.
Burr sinks this cruise to lower the world population. Did you know that?
What the fuck?
You don't know?
No.
That's his great plan of lowering the world's population.
Yeah.
But
Sink
how?
random cruise ships. Because people who take cruise ships, they're worthless.
Yeah.
They're going on a ship and then they tell us what to eat.
Yeah.
And there's a fountain of chocolate. Oh, then I fell asleep.
Which is, I'm not worthless, which is why I haven't done a
I
cruise
was
yet.
quoting Bill Burr.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Do you have one? What do you wish here?
shit's gonna get heavy. So super quick, but I always say that. And so because I come from a musical background, I did a lot of concerts on stage. I'm amazing.
Oh yeah, that was the other
This
thing.
is crazy. So I did concerts on stage or live with orchestra behind me and all those things. And I don't miss those things, but this kind of put music a shadow in my shadow. Like there's something I won't escape ever. Music, classical music, soundtracks. While working, this is sound very stupid. I worked on a number of own games, including the nun game, and I write music, choral, church music, doesn't matter. But the point is, even working for Assassin's Creed, for Syndicate, I wrote a song that was supposed to be played by Evie when you go inside the Kenway Mansion. And it was like this minuet duet thing, which is a bit Victorian. I like writing music. I don't have the energy to do it anymore because it's a lot of
try and error.
A week or two of fuck my finger. But Jesus, I want to keep this super short. For my non-game, I wrote the whole soundtrack, which was 13 or 14 tracks, orchestrated, choral. Was my best work. And I sent it to people that are in the industry, and they said like, man, c'est bon.
C'est bon.
And I'm like,
C'est
what
bon,
the? There's something here. And every song came with blood. It was very difficult for me to do it because I don't have the technique. I don't have the mental fortitude. It's not like I'm doing an iteration. Anyway, so I gave my father, because my father wanted to be me to be a musician above or else. If I'm to go to the moon, if I'm going to get engaged with Elon Musk, my father's going to be like, whatever, if it's not related to music. So for me, I'm a constant disappointment. Sorry, Dad. But I started writing these songs, and he's technical. So I recorded them on a CD, and my mother put them in the DVD, and my father listened to the songs. And he started crying. My father was so crying. He was like this. Because he loved the songs. Because they're close to what he recognizes as being good music, which is classical stuff. And my father came to me and he gripped my arm and he said, you need to make a concert. And nothing would make him more proud as a parent, as a creature, as me being his spawn, that having that sung by a professional with a real choir of men and women and children and all the orchestra. And he said, you have to do that. Why are you not doing it? It's like, my dad, we're making this game. The music is outside this game is worthless. The music works with the game, with those women sneaking out of the church, of looking, communicating with the knocks on the walls and all the nunnery and the ghosts on the walls and all the women all the abortions because nuns were getting pregnant, they had to have abortions in secret, or deeply medieval game. It doesn't work. And my father completely and always contradicted me, and then he died. And I made a DVD with each track with a video clip, like an AMV with footage from the game with each track. Make a fake cover and put in his coffin because I failed that one bad. So if there's something that I want to do before I die, is to have a concert for at least one song of mine and dedicate it to my father.
Dude,
you just put us to shame.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm a bit older, eh?
Yeah.
I just to build on. I got beaten by many street dogs.
Amazing. Wow.
But that's not something that's impossible.
Well, let's.
That's not impossible.
Yeah, that's not impossible. Yeah.
It's not like you're saying like, oh, I wish I had become an astronaut.
If I get the resources, if I get the power, I can transcript my music, a track, just one track, in
it's not
musical sheets and just hire an orchestra.
It's not unheard of for music that's made for video games to be played.
That's
by
why I was kind of hoping that this game that I was making with the nuns gets a release so I can get some traction.
We now know that
Because I
Yo,
don't wanna
yo, you got free promotion
11s
right
out
here.
of 10 right
It's
here.
not going to happen. It's in hiatus. When I left Ubisoft in Romania, I left the developers and people are now of the project in limbo. But I don't want it to be a pet project. I want it to be something real. I don't want to, I'm a Chinese millionaire, I'm going to make my own movie. I don't want it to be like that. I want it to be something real. I want to work on a project. I want to deliver a game. I want to write a track that is beyond touching and kick-ass. Actually, my music is really soft and really melancholic, like any emo edgelord. So yeah, I wanna do the whole orchestral thing, and I want to dedicate it to my father. And
Wow, it's a beautiful thing.
Us and our little things. Yeah. Only thing I would change is probably because you touched on music. I like deep down I still want to do it, but I probably never will make it play drums really good.
Do you know how hard it is?
Well,
you need to bleed.
Yeah. I mean, I probably will never reach a level where I would say, oh man,
But
now I got it.
Good.
I played them a little bit. I could play a punk song, but everyone could play a punk song on
The
drugs.
technique is unbelievably difficult. You need to go to a place where you're not comfortable going, and then make your home there, and start a little garden and eat from whatever you're making.
Let's wrap it up. You had something?
Yeah. So after that, let's start on something great. Let's finish on something great. What is your favorite game that you've worked on, or
One
maybe
favorite game?
Yeah, I mean, or three.
There's no such thing.
No such thing.
It's like clothes.
Diplomatic answer.
Winter, there is something that you like, some boots. Yeah. In summer, it's
okay. Then let's say what do you think is one or two most important games you think for the industry?
I'm gonna lay it out. 4 games.
Okay.
That changed me molecularly, that converted me into a productive musician, into this bottom feeder developer that you see before you.
This 4 steps of decay.
Wreck that threw me off course from success. Okay. And it's gonna sound stupid, but I'm old. The first one was Mortal Kombat.
Which one?
Numero uno, cabron. When I saw Mortal Kombat 1, I was a kid in the arcade. I was barely reaching up, and when I saw it, it blew my mind, and I knew 2 things back then. 1, I don't want to fight Sub-Zero.
Very clever.
He's going to rip my head off, and I ended up fine. I was 9. I don't know, I was really small when I saw it. And the second thing is that games are better than movies. Fire away.
Preach.
Fire away. They're better. Not in all the ways, but in the right ways. Controlling Scorpion was with this.
Get over here.
Controlling him and moving up and down and left and right was orgasmatic. I used to sit at the arcades when people leave. And randomly you'll get a GIF with one of the characters and saying their story. And you say Raiden, and he does these things. The God of Thunder. For me, it blew my mind. And I used to draw the characters. I made a Raiden hat and walk around the house. I was mad in love with everything. And I kept building on this Mortal Kombat thing. When I met at GDC, the Mortal Kombat narrative director for the reboot, I was walking in his footsteps like a snail. And he told me, man, when we filmed Raiden, we lose this low Dutch angle to kind of see inside the hat, and you feel like a god. And I was like, you're so lucky, you son of a bitch. I would faint if I had to see Ed Boon. So Mortal Kombat, sorry. I drift. The second game that completely destroyed my life as a kid was Tomb Raider. When I played Tomb Raider, it didn't make sense for me as a kid because there was no game like it. There's no 3D jumping. It was the most difficult game you could possibly imagine.
Yeah, it's hard as shit.
Reaching level 5 of Tomb Raider, St. Francis Foley, it's a feat of strength.
I still remember that. And I just remember that I couldn't get past that fucking bear.
How to jump over some
there's this
rock.
one bear and how to defeat
Level
him.
3, it's called Xibalba Falls? No.
I was like 7 or something and I just couldn't get past the
It
bear.
was level 3, the bear and the pool.
Yeah,
Tomb
it's like-
Raider 1.
What the fuck to do?
It comes out, you have to pump.
I was like, yeah, get
Anyway,
past the
I
bear.
fell in love with Lara Croft. It was my first internet
Isn't that
video
amazing?
game
And then
crush.
you worked on your own Lara Croft. That's
Right.
like a success. That's a success
I knew
story.
the quotes by heart, the game by heart, 2, 3, Venice, Corelli, her story. And then I kind of drifted away from the game. And then when I joined Virtuos and I worked with him and I did the game and I worked on Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I was just Camila Luding, everything. Brilliant. Ready to die, ready to check out. Thank you for the opportunity. It was amazing. And for me, Tomb Raider, still going strong.
The other two?
Then Thief the Dark Project.
Oh, yes! Oh, yes!
Great
I was in the Philharmonic. I
Great
was
game.
Wagnering like man possessed.
That game is so groundbreaking for its time, man.
I bought it at a local porno store that they had like two
We got
games.
porn or thief?
2 games on a CD, yeah, and it was there next to Deus Ex.
Deus Sex.
Deus Ex, maybe that's why it was in the porno store. And I installed it, and then it didn't work for a while because it was printed
Full
by
of jizz.
whatever. And I put it in, and then the thing started. And it was, and I can quote you the introduction cutscenes where the guy walks in and the boy brushes against him.
You
and
had so
steals
many
his
possibilities
money.
in that game.
And he says, seeing a keeper is not an easy thing, especially one who does not wish to be seen. Let go of me, old man. Just stealing something to keep my ribs from meeting my spine. One day I caught a man. Folks, he just passed by folks like he wasn't there. So I snuck upon him and made a grab. That's not for you. Please, sir, I'm hungry.
Fuck, you learned that by heart.
Don't tell the hammers, I promise. What is your name, boy? Gareth. You have talent, lad. So, no, I'm not. True story. This doesn't leave the room.
Well, be careful with that on the internet.
No, it's not industry-based. I have dysflexion calculexia or something like that. My brain is one side is a bit weirder than the other.
Doesn't look like it.
I know. I'm perfect. I struggle with all things numbers. I remember I forget numbers. If I go to buy tomatoes, 29, 98, by the time I put there, I completely forget it. So I need to kind of, for me, it's harder. So that's why I'm not a mathematician. It's super harder. But when it comes to spoken dialogue tones and movies, I learned them by watching them once. I watched the movie once or twice, and I remember it for years. That helped me a lot as a director because I can project. And I remember the voice, the intonation.
Yeah.
Want me to quote whatever? Tell me a movie, I'll quote it. So I do that. Anyway, so Thief showed me that you can make wonderful environmental storytelling in a world that is dripping with lore. The hammers, the pagans, the wife left in the attic and was blind, and she thinks it's the husband.
Yes,
all
yes, I
those
remember
things.
that level. Yeah.
So you get the chills.
Yeah.
They spit in my wine, and she thinks you're the husband, but you're there to steal shit.
Yeah.
And they're having sex in her bedroom because the husband is a sailor, is a captain, and is not coming back because he died. And they isolate the lady of the house in the mansion, and it's just and they all.
I didn't. Fuck.
There was the hammers that they have their dead coming out, and
they're like super religious, and that's
and
like
the super religious and our dead are coming out. You need to put them down, brothers. And then you go underneath their graveyard, and there's this pagan that makes spells to animate with vines the dead because he believes the dead should rest in the cities, not in sarcophagus of steel. So I had to kill him to stop what he believed. Man, these things.
Man, you make the game sound more exciting
No,
than
but
they
it
are.
is. And Thief, The Dark Project, and all those games completely writed me as stories in a first-person game with all the music, little like Eric Brosius was just no. We were the dawn of the metal age.
These industrial.
Just brilliant, man. That game make me sideways, and
That must have broken your heart to see
I
that
used
new
to quote
shitty
and write all the writings in the beginning of the game. I used to quote, "There is no the essence of balance is detachment. To grow fine and speedful is to lose one balance, after which no action can be trusted. Our burden is not for the dependent of spirit, we're thieves." And it's just this shit is deep. Our most promising alcoholite left at us for the lesser greater of folly. But anyway, I really love that game. I thought it was one of the best narratives ever spun. It was survival horror at its first footsteps.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the last game and then we wrap up.
Sorry about that. So the last game that changed me completely is Final Fantasy Tactics.
Ooh, did not expect that.
Hironobu Sakaguchi at its finest, coming off the Final Fantasy VII train. He is given complete reins to create his masterpiece. A PlayStation 1 game called Final Fantasy Tactics with a story that it's worth making theater plays from it. A deeply medieval story of living in the shadow of a great father and having it's similar to Berserk, having like the story where you're nothing and you claw your way up and you are there in the Mount Everest and people are dying around you. Are you going back? Or you're already past demonic. You're already past whatever people can do. So I love that game.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the story grabbed me. The mechanics of the job families, they were beautiful. The music was extraordinary.
I mean, Uematsu is the man.
Extraordinary. Okay. It was better than Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9. That was their apex. With the job families, the story and everything. So that's the 4 games that changed me completely. And that's after that game, I decided to enter the industry. I said, all right, fuck this. It's time to commit. It's time to. It's like in a relationship, we're dating for 12 years or something
Time
like
to put
that.
a ring on it.
It's just, screw this shit. Let's abandon all the music.
Okay, I wanted to wrap up on this, but I have one last thing, and now this is the last thing, and then that's over. Is there one final message that you would have, like one thing that you wish that the normal, average, everyday gamer knew, or that content creators or just people out there, there's one thing about behind the scenes, just maybe know this?
I do.
Okay,
I do,
okay.
Anton.
Awesome.
I do.
Awesome.
Guys.
Last word. Choose your next words carefully, Leonidas. They may be your last as king.
Let's take this discussion next to the pit of death. In meeting the Spartans, which was anyway. So guys,
You insult my queen. Okay, let's go.
so I'm talking about big games, popular games, not small ones. Big games, the games that we play, the games that you review. Nobody is out to make a bad game. Nobody, at any point during the discussion, we're going to shuffle this under the carpet. Nobody does that. Everybody does its best. Some people go beyond the Call of Duty to the point of fanaticism. But things happen. Creatives are in opposition. And it starts small. And then it explodes in people not agreeing what the game is, what is the direction, the budget, key people leave. Everything is overblown. There's a lot of bad things can happen. And yes, some of the products end up with some problems. Some of the things will let you down. But the key important aspect is that these games are made by people who are, most of them, extremely passionate, and nobody sets to make an inferior product. Everybody wants to do the best that they do with their given resources. That's it.
There's a question what I would like to add to that, but fuck, I don't know. Should we?
I think it's perfectly fine to
Let's end it here.
leave it at that. Those are excellent closing
I
words.
agree.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys,
If I see one more bad review,
guys, I hope you enjoyed this incredible episode. Our first quality guest, Juan. No, just kidding. Juan, you were awesome. Yes, that was insanely enjoyable. It was educational. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys, if we didn't get to all your questions. We didn't even get to all my questions. We didn't get to all his questions. But damn, I enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed it too.
It was the first time I'd done this. I'm not sure I even have a job.
I'm gonna make some nice Hitler edits. Don't worry.
Excellent. Those are very popular in China.
And yeah, Andy, thank you.
yeah. So again, no science part this time. Sorry. I will promise more
You
physics next
goddamn-
time. But
You're a scholar, Andy.
yeah.
Cezar, any last words?
Thank you for having me. This has been a huge leap of faith for me to do this. I had to shake the corporate tree a bit. And we're all very happy to bring some words forward. And thank you for providing me this avenue to kind of talk and help the industry go forward. Because we need to be heard. And we need to tell you guys that we're just, we're people. And
Hell yeah.
And we're trying to, we loved games. We all love games, man.
Let's end it at that. We all love games. Guys, we'll see you soon.